Welcome everyone on panel and to those joining us from around the globe for Global Ed SS Chat. I'm Anahit, a grade 12 student from Ontario, Canada, and I am looking forward to our topic today. We will be discussing mental health during unpredictable times. So just an overview of who we are. Global Ed Student Chat is a student-led Twitter chat that connects K-12 students around the world to discuss topics and questions related to character, education, social justice, and citizenship. Global Ed SS Chat creates opportunities for students to network with others, gain perspective, build relationships with new learning partners in a literacy-rich learning environment, as well as experience social media as a powerful platform for learning and establish a positive digital footprint. Thank you for joining us. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce Garvey, who will be explaining how to use our back channels to get involved in the conversation.
Hi, my name is Garvey, and I will be talking about the Tech Talk. If you're watching us on YouTube, you could sign in with a Google account and use the chat to comment or ask a question. If you're on Twitter, you can follow the hashtag #GlobalEdSSChat to read the ideas, thoughts, questions shared by others. We will use the Q1A1 format. Use hashtag #GlobalEdSSChat to add your thinking and get involved in the conversation. Feel free to share your first name and where in the world you are joining us from today. If you ask questions, we'll bring them to the panel. Please remember that the audience for this chat is K through 12, so your comments and questions should be appropriate for all ages.
All right, so let's introduce everybody now. So hi, I'm Sam. I'm in grade 10. I go to LDSS. I have been with this chat since the beginning, and I'm really excited for our chat today. If I could call on Ethan to introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Ethan. I'm an 11th grader at Garden City High School in Kansas, and I'm very excited to talk about today's chat.
All right, Garvey, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Garvey. I'm a grade 7 student, and I'm located in the DMV area.
Melissa?
Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm from the GTA, and I'm currently in grade 8.
Anahit?
Hi, my name is Anahit. I'm from Ontario, Canada. I'm a grade 12 student, and I'm really excited to talk about today's topic because it's really interesting and I think it's really relevant to what's going on today. So I'm excited to hear everyone's opinion.
And finally, we have Mandy Freilich, I think is the right pronunciation. She's a former educator and director of innovation and technology, turned author, and technology and mental health consultant. Ms. Freilich's passion lies in invigorating educators back to their profession and support in their pursuit of divergent teaching. She consults with organizations in topics such as innovative pedagogical practices, technology department, leadership coaching, and the impact of mental health and innovation. Obviously, I have not read that introduction before.
Sam, you made my last name sound so much fancier than it actually is. It's Freilich, but you were so close, my friend. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate you.
We've gone through our norms. So Ethan, if you want to bring up our first question.
Yeah, so our first question is, how has the prolonged pandemic impacted your mental health?
This year, since there's the pandemic, I'm not really that, wait, sorry, what was the question again?
How has the prolonged pandemic impacted your mental health?
I can go. I haven't had any detrimental mental health problems even before the pandemic and during the pandemic, but I definitely know that it's maybe be on screens for a longer time than I used to be on. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty big into technology and stuff, and my mental health from just moving more towards a technological based learning environment hasn't really been affected much because I spend so much time on computers anyways, and I take a lot of computer courses. So if I'm on computers at school, I'm on computers at home. It's not much different for me, but based off of like seeing friends and stuff and hanging out and going to people's houses, yeah, it's not affected me like in a negative way. I just get together virtually, play games. Um, so it's different, but it hasn't affected my mental health as much as some people.
For me, I think when you're a very social person and you're very extroverted, it's pretty hard with the whole online environment, especially when a lot of students are reluctant to turn on their mics and participate or turn on their cameras. So it does feel a little foreign to me still, despite being online for over a year. That has caused a little discomfort in my life because I do miss hanging out with my friends, chatting in real life. I think that nothing can replace that in-person connection that you have with people. So in that regard, I really do miss the face-to-face that we had before.
So personally for me, as a child, I never really like, I'm a single child and I never really got out, if that makes sense. I never really went over to other people's houses, so it didn't really impact me as much as some other people, I imagine. But I found that I actually ended up growing closer to people who, like, over Zoom and stuff, like we could always go on and get chat and like chat and stuff. And then during school we do lots of stuff. So I personally have ended up growing closer to my friends than I normally would have without it. So it's all very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think due to the pandemic, I'm exercising less often and like talking to people less often, but I've also grown closer to my.
So Sam and Anahit, are you the only two students in Canada? Is that correct?
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was listening. So I was kind of wondering, just as a follow-up to that question, if because I believe that quite a bit of Canada, or at least the Ontario area, has gone back on lockdown again. Do you think that has like how did that feel when that happened? Because those of us in the U.S., there are some places that are pretty open in comparison to what you guys are going through right now. So how did that impact you?
We it's been quite on and off here and especially in Ontario. In my school board, we have gone flip-flopped from online back to school, online back to school. So at this point, I'm used to it. But right now we're in full lockdown. Everything's closed down. No schools. Anything that's not essential is supposed to be closed. Stay in your house. Full stay-at-home order, which is pretty drastically different than what it is like in some parts in the U.S. Yeah, we're trying to control numbers.
When we found out that we had to go back to lockdown, I think it was in March. So our only kind of free, we were able to go out to eat or to the malls only for a couple of weeks. And then we found out about the lockdown. That was very disappointing for me and very stressful because I had the hope when everything opened up that we would start going back to normal, and yet here came another lockdown. So I think for a lot of people that caused a lot of stress, and that caused them to lose hope, because every time it opens, you're looking forward to going back to normal, and then here we go again, back to where we started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine. And I think what you said, Annie Heaton, and I have a difficult time adding to all of your brilliance, because everything that you said was perfect and honest, and I love that. But I think, Annie Heaton, the part that you hit on that I think has made the pandemic difficult for people is hope, right? Like, we need that hope to keep us going. And in some cases, it's the hope of, for some people, it's the hope of going back to school, or it's the hope of seeing your friends, or it's, I had a moment during the pandemic where I felt like I handled the pandemic fairly well until the littlest thing happened. And that was that I heard that once we got vaccinated, we still had to wear masks. I don't know why, because it's fine that I'm wearing a mask. I'm okay wearing a mask to protect people. But it was that moment that I'm like, no, why? I don't want to wear masks. And I had like a little mini meltdown over something, little and crazy. And so I think that it's probably pretty natural for there to be those moments throughout the pandemic, no matter how you're handling the whole thing. And also, remembering that, like, our friends in Canada, I couldn't believe when I heard you guys got locked down again. And I thought, oh, I can't imagine after all this time that, being in that position. Do you think, and this, I know that I'm going off script for you guys, so I apologize, but how do you think that your friends have handled this? Like, overall, I would say that, you're not, in the answers that you just gave, you're not saying that you're super depressed or anything like that. How do you think your friends have done?
I think that for a lot of people, there has been like a demotivation, because you don't know when you're going to get out of the pandemic. You don't feel like doing anything. So for a lot of people, productivity has gone down for sure. Also, for me, I'm in grade 12, so we're not getting a graduation, a prom. That's definitely very discouraging and disappointing. So at this point, people aren't surprised that things are getting canceled, because they're just expecting it. And again, the sense of hopelessness that we're not going to get to do anything fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anyone else?
For me, my friends are, we have a lot of cases where, like, oh, we don't really want to do our schoolwork because it's like, oh, well, it's online. We're kind of just sitting here all day. And I know my main friend group, we all have a Minecraft server we run together. So I quite often see them on Minecraft instead of seeing them in school. It's just a lack of motivation, like what Anna had said. It's just a lack of motivation, but I find that a lot of people are still just going through it and adapting to the new way of doing things.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for your answers.
Okay, so I guess we should move on to question 2. What is the most important piece of advice related to mental health that you can give to a classmate during this time?
I can go. I would just say talking about your experience and talking to other people. Because when you talk about what you've been through and you feel alone, and other people come out and talk about the same thing, you can start making connections and starting to get better together. So I would just say talk with friends, family, and stuff.
If I could go back about 7-8 years and tell my 8-year-olds, my 10-year-old self something, it would be that don't waste time. A lot of people say, oh, I'll do this when the pandemic is over. I'll do that when the pandemic is over. But in a sense, we've been given this gift of time, time at home to do whatever your heart wishes, and you can use that time to work on yourself, to learn a new skill. And a lot of people, we were out and about, we weren't home, we didn't have time for self-care. But now, for instance, at my school board, we have an hour and a half of lunch break. You could do so much within that hour and a half. You can meditate, take care of yourself, go on a run. That is, I think that's really precious time you can use for your own self-improvement. So there's a lot of bad things that came with the pandemic, but there's also a bright side, and that's focusing on ourselves and being alone with ourselves to figure out what we like, what we don't like, hobbies, and learning these new skills to get ahead when the pandemic is over.
Yeah, I would also just say to, when you're stressed out, just remember to take some deep breaths and try to take a break and try to go outside for fresh air as much as you can, and do something that you enjoy that can make you feel happier and improve your mood, like drawing or writing. Like for me, it's listening to music or going outside, and I find that helps me a lot.
Yeah, I agree with all of you guys. Like, especially just talking. If you just give your friends an opportunity to talk to you, or talk to each other, that's talking to somebody can mean a lot. Just talking through things and figuring things out just by communicating is a great way to get through things. I'd also like to mention that if you're not checking out the conversation on Twitter, please go check out the hashtag Global Ed Student Chat, hashtag Global EDSS Chat. There's lots of great thoughts and opinions on there.
Okay. So I'm going to reiterate that I'm having a difficult time following up the brilliance on this panel. I feel like you guys could do this without me, and there is no way that you need me here. I love everything that you said about, Melissa and Garvey, about talking to people, and Sam mentioned it too. And there's so much self-awareness in what Anahit said as well, in making sure, like, you guys have touched on things that adults don't know how to do, right? And you're talking about making sure that you're taking this time during the pandemic to do those things. Self-care is really important. I would say that one of the most important things that we can do to help ourselves in times like this is really to learn to acknowledge and manage our emotions. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning who said that she had to take a day where she did nothing. And she said, I felt like I just couldn't get things done. And as we discussed it a little bit more, I said, well, that's overwhelm is what you were feeling, and it leads to procrastination. And it feels like I use the term just can't. And I don't know if you've ever been in that spot where it's like you can't even finish that sentence because you just can't. You want to just sit and be by yourself and think and process a little bit. And to learn to recognize those emotions and process through them and learn healthy ways of dealing with them. That is one of the best things that you can do for yourself all the time. But as Anahit put it, we have time to do that now. Whereas we possibly didn't before. And sort of like the universe saying, oh, you guys aren't spending enough time with yourselves. Let me give you that. And then we had a pandemic. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, you guys are brilliant in what you're saying, and love everything that you say.
Just to add, I think that just can't is all about that burnout that you feel, because a car can't keep going without an oil change. You need to recharge. For instance, I can't study for 6 hours every single day for a month. I've tried it. It burned me out. It does not work. So it's all about finding that balance. And like I said, since we have time, why put it off when you can kind of figure out what works for you right now? So when we go back to school, to work, we have all the resources and all the habits developed that we need.
What would you guys say is your favorite self-care activity? I think that we look at self-care a lot as an adult thing, but it's really important for students as well. And so, so that you like develop those habits as you get older and you already have them in place. So what's your favorite thing to do for self-care?
I'd say reading for fun, because a lot of the time we read as a chore for school, maybe some things that we don't like. Reading also about interesting things gives you topics to talk about. So when you're in different environments, you're very well informed and you're not left out of anything. It really helps you in life, I'd say. So reading for fun, whether that be nonfiction or fiction, I think really helps the mind relax.
I can go. For me, I would say just like going outside, even if it's like sitting outside for like 2 minutes, because like just like my mom says, like fresh air really helps, and it's just good to take a walk sometimes, and it helps you get focused again.
Yeah, I agree with what Anna had said. I also like reading a lot, and it's like that when you're reading, it's like you're in a different world, so like you can forget about everything that's like stressing you out.
Yeah, for me, it's just going and doing something that I really enjoy, like playing a game with friends or just working on a project that I'm currently doing or anything kind of just to keep my mind thinking about something else.
For me, it's just definitely like stepping away from something and like watching a TV show or something or a movie or reading a book, like something that can take you in a different world. Like currently I'm in 11th grade and it's like at least here at my school, it's like one of the hardest years you can have, just because of the topics. So there's like constant homework and stuff like that. And so just being able to like step away and like go into a different world, if that makes sense, like it's always such a relief to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And sort of like that, analogy to that car, self-care is the maintenance. It's like sometimes I feel like it's even difficult to take time out for self-care because you have to find the time to do it. And sometimes you just feel like you don't have the time. But, sort of using that car analogy, like if you don't change the oil and you don't keep oil in it, your engine's going to explode and then the car's not going to drive at all. And so you have to keep, doing those things. So yeah, you guys ready for question 3?
Yeah, so question 3 is, what has your school done this year to support your mental health this year, and what more can they do?
My school has built a resource, like a website where we can go and we can find strategies and other websites that would help, videos, information, things like that. And then we had, I think it was last week, a mental health day where we were told to do reflections about how we were feeling. And that was super helpful. I think it's different to advise schools what they can do because everyone takes their mental health differently, has a different approach to taking care of their mental health. So I feel that it's difficult for schools to offer a one-size-fits-all mental health guide.
This year I'm not really that connected to my school since there's the pandemic, but my teacher has done a lot of things for our class. Like we made breathing bubbles where you breathe in slowly and then breathe out slowly. And she also did some meditation with us and even brought in a guest speaker to do yoga with us.
At my school, we have these like talking circles sometimes where we talk about how we feel about if a certain event comes up that's sort of like hard to talk about. We talk about that at school, and like our counselors always take time to talk to us if we need help. So yeah.
I think sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger, like a counselor, than to talk to your family or your friends, because your family and your friends are more involved in your life. So it's hard for them to give an objective view of your mental health or different kinds of situations. So sometimes when you talk to strangers or someone you that doesn't know a lot about you, and you reach that sense of vulnerability, they can give you really great advice because they'll be very objective and they don't know all the details. So they can be very serious and they can take all the emotions out of giving you advice, whereas your friends and family are in a different position. So I definitely would agree with talking to guidance counselors is a big help.
I think my school as a whole really was trying to focus on students' mental health at the beginning of this school year. I think within the first couple months, we had a virtual rock, paper, scissors battle. So you would have your whole class, because that's your cohort, you do rock, paper, scissors in your class, and then you go on to do it virtually with other classes. The best student in each class would go against another student in another class. And you go on and go on. And finally, we had the finale, which they did over the announcements, which was exciting. And that was something we did as a school to kind of keep kids connected, even if they're in different classes. And then we also did a paper airplane battle. So every student had made a paper airplane, and in your class you would compete to see who got the farthest and went up the leaderboard and all that. I think we did a couple other small things along the lines just throughout the year. But I've noticed slowly that they've run out of ideas and kind of dropped off, especially now that we're all online. They can't do a whole lot other than shove videos in our face, which no student really enjoys watching a video over Google Meet. If you've watched a video on Google Meet through your teacher's microphone, you know how I feel here. It's not great.
That might be one of my favorite answers so far. And I know that we're running out of time, but I think this is a really important part for teachers to know. Okay. So what is one thing that your school did or you wish they would have done very quickly during the pandemic to help you with your mental health?
One thing that we did was with my classroom and my politics class, we took like 20 minutes to talk about how we were feeling. And one thing that I wish my school did was I wish we did that more often, maybe once a week. It was really great because it kind of showed everyone that they're not alone. A lot of people were feeling the same things, and that was kind of a relief. So I wish we did that more.
For me, I really enjoyed the little competitions we had throughout school. Like, yeah, sure, they were a little quirky or whatever, but they were fun. Another thing we did was there was dad jokes. Every Friday, there would be like 3 dad jokes that they said over the announcements, and they're not great. They're not good dad jokes, but that's the thing about dad jokes. That was enjoyable. It was funny, but It wasn't funny as in you laughed at all of them. It was just kind of a thing they did and you looked forward to it, just hearing how stupid the dad jokes would be.
All right, anybody else?
For me, I'm not currently in online school where we're doing like full in person. But back when we were in online school, like our teachers would always constantly check up on us, and like they offered different sessions to make sure that you, like when you did your homework, you'd always get the answers correct. They could have individual times with you. But right now, on the in-person, it doesn't really feel like we have that same kind of ability to like get a one-on-one with a teacher to be able to do stuff like that. It's always like we have the lesson and then we all do our things, and yeah, the teacher will be walking around, but we don't really have a big chunk of time. It's always a like short little helping session. So I wish we had those kinds of same sessions that we did during lockdown, to definitely help us figure out different things in school.
I think discussion as a whole is a really powerful learning tool. I learn a lot from class discussions, and I really, really appreciate when people actually turn on their mics, participate, because that helps you learn and that helps you adjust your mind. That gives you a flexible mind to think 10 different ways, 20 different ways, 30 different ways. Discussions and that connection with your teacher is a really powerful way to learn and to get ahead in your education.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we're ready to wrap up. So I just wanted to thank you guys so much for inviting me on today. It has been such a pleasure learning from you. And everything that you guys are talking about are all the things teachers need to hear. So thank you so much for doing this for both teachers and students to, to listen to. So I appreciate you guys and thank you for having me on.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our Global Ed SS Chat Tweet and Talk. Thanks to our student leadership team and our guests, Melissa and Mandy. Please keep the conversation going by answering our slow chat for the rest of the month on Twitter and Instagram. Be sure to use the hashtag Global Ed SS Chat hashtag so our team can interact with you. Feel free to also share on Flipgrid. The grid code and password are both Global Ed SS Chat. You can also connect with us on social media. All our handles are Global Ed SS Chat, and our website is globaledSSchat.com. Watch for details about next year's schedule, which will be posted on our website in August 2021. Please note we are currently recruiting members for our social media ambassador program. We're always looking for students who are looking to grow as digital leaders. Information about our social media ambassador program can be found on globaledSSchat.com. Please send us an email or DM for more information. Thanks again for joining. See you all there.